Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how I made this 4-fold card. Okay, I think I've made a video on this before, but it was quite some time ago, so it doesn't do any harm to have a reminder. Plus the fact this is a Christmas themed one. So I'm going to copy the same design. I am going to be using the same designer series paper, which is Feels Like Frost, but I'm using a different design of it. And the colours of the cardstock I'm using is Seaside Spray and Night of Navy. What I've used here is Purple Posy and Highland Heather. Okay, so I'll start off by telling you the card pieces that you're going to be needing. First of all is a piece of Night of Navy, which measures 5 3/4 inches by 8 1/2 inches, which is 14.6 by 21.6 centimetres. And then there's a piece of Night of Navy, which measures 5 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches, which is 14.6 by 12.1. And then there are two pieces of Seaside Spray, and they should measure 1 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 4.8 by 14 centimetres. And then two more pieces of Seaside Spray, which measure 1 7/8 inches by 3 inches, which is 4.8 by 7.6. And then four pieces of Seaside Spray, which measure 1 7/8 inches by 1 inch, which is 4.8 by 2.5 centimetres. All the measurements will be in the box below the video if you're unable to keep up with me. Right, then you need two pieces of Feels Like Frost designer series paper, and they should measure 1 3/4 inches by 5 3/8 inches, which is 4.5 by 13.7. I'll just show you what the complete sheet looks like. Okay, so I used two sheets and I cut that piece to get these designs like that even. I had to trim a little bit off, but that's what the sheet started out looking like. And then you need two pieces of designer series paper, which measure 1 3/4 inches by 2 7/8 inches, which is 4.5 by 7.3. And then you need four. Now I manipulated mine so that I got my four pieces out of this bit here, so it's like a plain colour, and they measure 1 3/4 inches by 7/8 inches, which is 4.5 by 2.2 centimetres. Then you need a piece of Seaside Spray, which measures 4 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 10.2 by 14 centimetres. And then a piece of Whisper White, which measures 3 7/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches, which is 9.9 by 13.7 centimetres. And then you need some Whisper White scraps. I've got rather a lot here. Don't really need all of that. That is for the sentiment, 3 penguins and 3 scarves. Okay, that's the Whisper White. And then you need a scrap of Night of Navy, which is going to be the layer behind the sentiment. Right, so we are going to start off with these two pieces here. This is actually take 2, so I've already done this one. So let me do this one first. Now the reason it's take 2 is because when I did the scoring on this, I made a mistake somehow. Not quite sure how, but I used my trimmer and I'm not as comfortable doing my scoring on that. So this time I'm going to use this and then move over to my trimmer for the cutting. Right, so we need to put this in landscape, and we need to score at inches is 2 1/8 inches, 4 1/4 inches, 6 3/8 inches. In metric, that's 5.4, 10.8, 14.2 centimetres. So if we do that first, and it is 2 1/8, 4 1/4, 6 3/8. So you finish up with 4 columns, all that are 2 1/8 inches wide, or 5.4 centimetres each column. Right, we come back to that one in a minute. Now with this sheet, which is 4 3/4 that way and 4 3/4 that way. Okay, so you've got your 4 3/4 across the top, and you need to score that at 4 3/8. Okay, which is 11.1 centimetre, and that side is the 12.1 centimetres. Okay, now once you've done that, on this one you need to take your tear and tape and put a piece on between that fold, between that score line and the edge there. Okay, now if we go back to this sheet, and we need our trimmer now. What we need to do is, with our 3 score lines here, we need to cut from score line 1 down to score line 3, and we need to do it on both sides. Line your paper up at 1 1/4 inches, and then cut from 2 1/8 inches she's thinking, yes, 2 1/8 inches down to 6 3/8 inches. Yeah, not quite far enough on that one to go back. That's it. Now turn your cardstock 180 degrees, line it up at 1 1/4 inches again, and then cut from 2 1/8 inches down to 6 3/8 inches. And sorry, in metric, that's going from 5.4 centimetres down to 16.2 centimetres. Okay, so your cut line should go down to, both of them should go down to that score line and both up to that score line. Okay, so we don't need our trimmer or our scoreboard anymore. If you haven't done so already, fold that, get a nice burnish, and with this one, what we need to do is the 2 outside panels we are going to fold backwards. Okay, so that looks better. There's that one, and then we're going to fold that one back, and that looks a lot better. When you're doing this, make sure that you're lining up straight down here. Now with this, what we're going to do is we are going to push the 2 outside ones down, and as we do that, that will push the centre one up. That's much, much better. That did not happen last time. Right, so burnish all your folds. Right, so now we're going to fix this bit onto here, and what's going to happen is this side is going to be adhered down onto the tear and tape. Okay, now as I'm right-handed, this is a lot easier to turn it around. So let me, what have I got on the end here? Yep, that's fine. So if I take that off, I find it easier if I keep the smaller piece of cardstock standing up like that so that I know that that's going to go into the crease, all right? Okay, so you should find, oh, I got a bit extra there. Why has that happened? Why have I got an extra bit? That may be that I've just made a mistake. If it isn't a mistake, if it's a mistake in my measurements, then I suggest you just cut that bit off. Didn't do that hard enough, did I? The amount of times I do that. Doubt if it's going to go very nice a second time. Right, it's nearly done it, so I'm going to finish that off with my scissors. So this must be about 1/8 of an inch too long. I will look into this after the video, and I will make sure that I've got the right measurement in the box below the video. Oops. I will straighten that up after the video as well. I'll put that on my guillotine. Right, okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to adhere all of our pieces on here. I don't do fast forward, so if you're not happy about watching me do this, please click on your fast forward button, and you can skip all of this. If you're going to stay, then I will tell you about the new trimmer. The positive side of it, and I'll tell you now, there's no negative side. How does it differ from the existing trimmer? The base is bigger. It will cut paper up to 17 inches wide, which is the width of our grid paper. So if you wanted to put a sheet of this in, you'd be able to trim it down, which would have been handy when I was trying to cut a piece of paper to put on the bar on my trimmer. The bar on the trimmer, it is now marked in inches, which for me, I'm just so thrilled about it, and I know lots of you will be, but I equally know that people who enjoy working with metric are not going to be very happy about that. But Stampin' Up do listen to our suggestions, and my suggestion to them is that they've missed a great opportunity, and could they get the manufacturer to put metric and inches on the bar? That way everybody's happy. So whether they'll be able to get that altered or not, I don't know. Obviously not in the time for us demos to get ours, because we've already ordered ours. Ordered ours rather, not altered. Right, so it's a bigger base, and I didn't realise that the problem we had with the blades, everybody must remember that fiasco, was that the company who were making them, they were actually sharpening the blades by hand, which is nowhere near as good as sharpening them by machine. And the new trimmer, the blades will be sharpened by machine. So that's the bar, the larger size. there are metric and inches measurements on the scoreboard, but the thing that I'm really excited about is that the scoring blade has, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's got like a piece of wire round it, so that when it's scoring it's got something to put extra pressure on the paper. Because if you've watched me doing scoring on the trimmer, I always use my bone folder or my scoring tool. I never use just that blade because I don't think it gives a particularly good score line. But now with the new one, it's got that little bit of metal around it which works brilliantly. And I know that it works brilliantly because when we were on the incentive trip in July, they had the prototype trimmer there, and we were allowed to play with it and give them our feedback. And it was a scorer that I was particularly interested in, and it works brilliantly. So I'm really, really excited about that. As I say, I should get mine be delivered on Monday or Tuesday this week. So I will have to try and find a project for next Sunday so that I can use my trimmer. The trimmer won't be available to customers just yet because Stampin' Up want to make sure that they've got enough stock ready before launching it, which personally I appreciate that, because there's nothing worse than promising something that's really lovely and then all of a sudden go to order it and it's sold out already. So they're going to do their best to avoid that situation happening again. It's one of the really good things about Stampin' Up. They do learn from mistakes or learn from things that go wrong, and they do listen to us as well. They listen to our feedback. So I think those are the main features of the trimmer. And another advantage of the demonstrators ordering it before the customers, at least we've got a chance to play with it, and if there are faults or problems, there's time to rectify it. I can't see that there's going to be any problems with it at all. Oh, and the price is going to be £23. Sorry, I don't know what the other prices are, but that's £5 cheaper than the previous one. So we're getting a tool that's much, much better than the original one, and we're paying less for it. So that's good news. I think we all like that. Something else I wanted to say was, I frequently get asked how come I don't get myself all glued up when I'm making my projects, and the answer for that is largely because I use my tweezers. It's amazing how clean they help me stay. I mean, it does mean that my tweezers get really gummed up, but it's a lot more comfortable to get them gummed up than my hands. Which way do I want this? That way, I think. I don't know whether I took any notice which way the patterns was going on this, but it looks as if I might have cut them from the same piece, so it's going to follow on. So this really is what takes the time. Cutting the card is really very easy, as you've seen, and putting the two bits together is very easy. I'll also show you the complete sheet from the designer series paper for the first one that I showed you, the Highland Heather and Purple Posy card. Now these I don't think are really any different from each other at all. It's great that we have double-sided designer series paper because it's like getting double value for your money. But sometimes it does grieve me, especially in this case here, where I'm covering that up. That would be a lovely design to use. But we can't have everything, can we? Right, just one more piece after this. If you're following the metric measurements, can you just double check that I have done measurements okay? It's the layering bits that I worry about. Right, there we go. There's that bit. Okay, so our card is going to go like that. Alright. That looks nice, doesn't it? Before I go any further, let me just show you this one. What the complete sheet looked like. Okay, so it was just the trees all the way across. So what I did was I took two from the outside, and there wasn't enough there to do two pieces, but one of them got covered up anyway. So, and I tried the bit down here to do my plain bit. Okay, let's put that one away. Now we want to do the stamping. Let me just show you the stamp sets that I'll be using. Okay, so this is Playful Penguins, which I think is absolutely delightful. I'm doing one of each, and the scarf, and that to ground them. In Tidings All Around, I'm using Tidings of Comfort and Joy. And from Snowman Season, I'm using Let It Snow. The dies that I'm using, I'm just going to be using, oh, one's gone. Oh no, where's it gone? Panic, 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 panic. Right, so there's this one, which is going to be for the Whisper White layer, and it's number 4 of the Stitched Shapes framelits, the ovals. So I've got that one. What have I done with the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3? There's one missing, isn't there? The layering oval framelits, I need the largest one, and there should be 7 of those. I can't see what I've done. What I might have to do is just go ahead and temporarily just adhere it without, oh, here it is, there we go. Okay, so it's that one. So what I'll do first is, with my scrap of paper here, I am going to do the Tidings of Comfort and Joy, and I'm going to use Night of Navy ink for that. There we can go sideways. No, I'm going to go this way because I want it positioned off to the side of my oval. So I want it to go like that so that I can have my, I'm going to put a bow up there and a penguin there. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to stamp my snowmen. I will only cut one of these out. Which one shall I do? I'm going to do this one actually, because I do find this arm is a bit long for the position on the card. Right, so that's going to go there. Okay, so that's him. What I did was I trimmed a bit of this off when I cut it. Let me show you where. Here we go. This one, can you see how much his arm comes over? Yes, you can. Okay, so I have trimmed it down a bit, but obviously not quite enough. So that's black, that's nice navy, and also for the scarf I am going to use soft sky. There we go. I find it's better with this one, don't press too hard, and then you get more definition on the scarf there. So I think what I'll do is I'll cut that one out first and do this one, and then that's the big shot dealt with. Let's move that somewhere safe. Right, there we go. Right, that's okay in there. Can't really go down a bit further. Yes. Just make sure that looks straight. Yep, I think so. There we go. One. Two. Okay, see how I've done that down in the corner there? Now that's for my ribbon. Where's my other scissors gone? No, that's not scissors. Oh, well, excuse me while I get another pair out. Oh no, here they are. Okay, just to show you how easy this is. Okay, I'm doing it so that I don't leave any white, but I invariably do finish up with some white there. If you've followed me for quite a little while, you've probably seen how I get rid of the white edges that I'm left with when I do this kind of cutting. Okay, so I've deliberately left bits of white around there, particularly at the bottom, almost like a white stripe on the scarf. Okay, so I'm going to use my Seaside Spray marker pen, and with my brush end underneath my work I go along and touch the sides, and you will see it will get up, it will take up a darker line, like it's edging it, which is okay. It makes it look a bit like shading. But the reason I say to make sure that you keep your brush pointing towards the underside is so that if you slip, then you get a mark on the back of there. Now with this one here, I am going to come just a little bit to the front, but let me hold my brush more steady. Okay, so that's covered up my white bit now. Now with this one, I'm not going to try cutting all of it. I just want to show you what I have done, because this one's already prepared. He's got his scarf on, got his dimensionals on, everything like that, and I've trimmed his arm. Whether I've trimmed it enough or not, I don't know. I'll have to wait and see when I put it on, but I just want you to see how I actually did that. Oh, I think I just cut his throat. Oh dear, poor penguin. Right, before I go right the way down there, just want you to see how much of that dark black there is at the end of his arm. So I'm going to be cutting a lot of that off. So follow that down and then coming round. So let me just cut that bit off. So his arm still looks perfectly okay, but I've taken all that black off. See how much I've taken off there? Yeah. Okay. So that's what I've already done on the other one. Now, those are the other two. Oh, yes, those two. And this is the one where I've cut the arm off. I cut the same amount off. Looks like it. And you'd never know. Right, okay. So let's put our card together. Right, this first. Just going to adhere this onto the Night of Navy using Tombow. If you want to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, there'll be a link to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below, where you find the measurements as well. And please remember to use the HOSTESS code. You'll be prompted towards the end of the placing your order. Do you have a HOSTESS code? and then if you put that in there, I can send you some free product at the end of October. You'll receive it at the beginning of November sometime. Okay, so I've put glue over the back there, and I am going to bring it almost over to the Seaside Spray. So I've got a bigger gap there, but that is again all because of the penguin. Okay, I want that body there to cover up the last of the Night of Navy if possible. Well, I've nearly sorted out his arm. Not very much coming over there now, is there? Let's see if I can put some white under there to make it easier. Well, I have to tip it for you to actually see. So, in fact, alright. Well, maybe I have got it. Oh. No, it's about 1/16 of an inch still over. But there you go, I've done it, more or less. Right, now what did I do for the others? I had the one that was looking up in the air, so we'll have that one there this time. Let's bring my silicone mat, because I do like using that when I'm doing gluing. I'm just going to block that on a piece of paper because there's bits that I've put rather heavy. I really don't want it to leak on the inside of my card. Okay, there we go. There's that one. This one looks a bit grumpy, I think. There we go. So right over in the corner, so he gets seen once the card is closed, like that. And down here I put Let It Snow, and I'm going to use Night of Navy. I'm going to have to bring this quite close to me because I need to make sure I'm getting it in the correct spot. That's it, that's good. Happy with that. And then the final thing is, in the stamp set it gives you this little stamp, which is what I call a grounding stamp. So it makes them look as if they're actually standing on something rather than just floating mid-air. Now, because with this you could obviously stamp it straight onto the white, but it tends to be a habit of mine to paint it and then cut it out. Less likely to make a mistake that way. Right, now this, again I'm going to bring this right down close to me, because I'm going to go over this, it's going to be gaps. Okay, but that's fine, I'm happy with that. And I'm going to do one for here as well. And bring this one down. Just put it over his feet as well. There we go. Could have done with a bit more there, but never mind. But it's got some kind of shadow there. In fact, what I'll do is just put a little bit of black there. So nobody would ever know. So there we go, that's today's project. That's looking a little bit wet, so let me just dry it. I will close my card and find it goes over to the other side. Oh, it was dry, right. Okay, so there we go. There's Night of Navy and Seaside Spray, and this is Highland Heather with Purple Posy. And the very first one that I did, which was my trial one, which I think it needs something else, was this one here. It's the one where the stamp set has got baubles in it, and I didn't really understand why it's got the holly and berries. I mean, I love the hollies and berries, it's really nice, easy to cut out. Yep, that was a fussy cut. But I feel it needs baubles in here somewhere, but it didn't seem to go with this. So, as I say, the jury is out on that one at the moment. But as I say, it was my trial one, and I'm happy how it all turned out. Many thanks for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed today's project, and I hope you give it a try. If you have any questions or would like to leave any comments, please leave those in the box below the video, which you can access if you're watching the video on YouTube. Depending on what device you're watching it on, there'll either be underneath some writing on the left hand side, it'll say show more, so click on that, or there'll be an arrow on the right hand side, click on that. Whichever, it will open the box up for you. Find all the information you need, including a list of the products. Oh, I haven't done the bow. Including list of products that I've used, the product codes, etc., and obviously a link to my shop. If you've enjoyed my video and would like to be notified each time I upload a new one, please click on the subscribe button, which is down there in the bottom right hand corner, and then by the side of that you'll see a bell. So if you click on that as well, you'll get notifications each time I upload a new video. So while I am just finishing this off, this ribbon's lovely. It's Seaside Spray, and it's got a little bit of glitter in it. I think that side's a bit smaller. Right, okay. Ribbon scissors. So let me just make that a bit shorter so it's not interfering with his arm. Okay, and do we have any glue dots lying around? If not, I will... Oh, here we go, yep, I've got them. Otherwise I was going to use some Tombow. Tombow's excellent for doing things like this. Which side do you like best? I think I like the other side best. Let's glue this one down. And then one more. There we go, that's right, lovely. Okay, so I've given you the last bits and pieces, the information that I normally give you. So all there is for me to say now, many thanks for joining me today, and till next time, happy crafting, cheerio.